Hey, this is DJ Mega Aim 17, and today I'm going to be making a video about Dragon Ball Z. In this video, I will be talking about things I did like and even more so things I did not like about the show. It will be split up into sort of three parts in one video. The Frieza Saga, the Cell Saga, the Buu Saga. That's how I'm going to at least try to talk about this. So, let's get into it. The Frieza Saga. There's not really a lot of things to say about the saga. I generally enjoyed it. Which is funny, because back in the day I did not like this saga. I don't know, I just did not like it. But I do have a few complaints. One, it took too long, in my opinion. It felt like it started to drag after a while. Like, in particular when it gets to Namek, it just felt like after a while it just started to drag. Especially like with the Frieza fight, that just dragged. Another problem I had with the show, or with the Frieza saga anyway, was Goku's fights. Like I like the fight between Goku and Vegeta, but after that, I'm more or less with some of his fights in the Frieza saga. Because I felt like a lot of his fights were sort of one-sided, especially when he fights the Ginyu Force. He just came in and just owned everybody, and I did not like that. Also, I felt someone else should have been the one to defeat Frieza. Like, I know there was, during the whole Frieza saga, there was an entire build-up of him becoming Super Saiyan and all that, and him being the one to defeat Frieza, but I just felt like one of the other characters should have been the one to defeat him, since they had more of a connection to him, and Goku did not. Unless you count his father, but since he really didn't know who his father was, it doesn't really count. Okay, that was kind of pointless bringing that up, but yeah. I had an issue with that. And I lost interest in that fight very quickly. I did like the point when he turned Super Saiyan, that was cool. But I really didn't get interested into the fight until everyone was off the planet. It was just Goku and Frieza. When I gained interest in that fight, towards the end. And even in the original DBZ, that fight took too long. You had episodes where they would just charge. They would just charge up. That's like the entire episode. That was annoying. Fight taking forever. That's one of the things I did not like. I think that's about it. The Cell Saga. This is probably my favorite saga out of all the sagas in Z. Because I like the story of this saga. There was a lot of interesting twists. Trunks, future Trunks, he was really cool in the saga. And plus, the Z Fighters had more of an involvement in the saga. So that was really cool. There were things I didn't like about the saga too. Oh yeah, before I get into it, I apologize if I'm pausing too much. Because I have to take a breath. Because there's a lot I have to say about this show. And I'm probably not even going to get into most of it, honestly. Now to my issues with the Cell Saga. My main issue with this saga was Cell and Gohan. Interesting enough. Now, Cell, I like Cell all the way up to about the Cell games. After that, I lost interest in this character. But in general, I feel like he wasn't really like a good main villain. I think someone else should have been the main villain, like Dr. Gero, since he was the one who wanted to destroy Goku. Cell really was just more like he felt more like a side villain that got too much screen time, I suppose. But he didn't really have a motive of his own. He was just following orders. So yeah, it was sort of interesting when he was first introduced, but after he became Perfect Cell and he announced the Cell games, he just stopped being interesting after that. At least with that, he had an ambition, but after that, he really had no ambition of any kind. Which made the fights not less interesting, except for the final fight between him and Gohan. Because I like the power struggle they had with the Kamehamehas and Gohan only fighting them with one arm. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was one of the epic moments of DBZ in anime history, to be honest. But I did have a problem with Gohan. Well, his development. You see, I think the whole point of Z was it was supposed to be the story of Gohan. However, I think the Frieza saga did a better job at developing his character than the Cell saga. And it's interesting because I think the Cell saga was supposed to be the saga where Gohan was supposed to be coming into himself as a character. But what made the development less... Oh, I don't know how to describe it. For me, anyway, was... He wasn't really involved in the saga much, to be honest. He sort of fought Android 20, which was Dr. Gero, and then after that he wasn't really doing much until he started training. And I have the same problem with the fact that I feel like he shouldn't have been the one to defeat Cell, since he haven't even seen him, or the other androids for that matter. It would have made more of an impact if he had at least seen the other androids and Cell. Like, it would have been a good, I think it would have been a good time for him to see him when Piccolo was fighting him, when Piccolo 17 was fighting Cell, and Gohan was trying to go after him. That would have been a good time for him to, you know, face him. I think it would have made more of an impact that way of, you know, Gohan defeating Cell and becoming Super Saiyan 2, and instead of Android 16 being destroyed, you know, an android he didn't even know existed until the Cell games. Yeah. And the Super Saiyan thing. Here's the thing, I really felt Gohan became Super Saiyan too late in the show. I think he should have became a Super Saiyan earlier, especially when there was a lot of hype around him becoming Super Saiyan. Well, at least somewhat in the Frieza saga, because of his dormant powers and all that, and him being a hybrid Saiyan. You know. So I was kind of disappointed when he first became Super Saiyan. It just felt so anticlimactic. Although the Super Saiyan 2 transformation did sort of make up for it, but it still didn't make up for it as much as I would have hoped because of the circumstances. And then there's the Cell games, which I also had a problem with. I really feel... Okay, that was not needed at all. I thought the Cell games was kind of stupid, to be honest. It really was. And another problem I had with it, which is also something I just have a problem with the series in general, is Goku. Now, I like Goku's character, but I feel like from the Cell games and up, he just becomes more of a, for me, like a more or less character. Because he really acted very idiotic in the Cell games. Like, he forced Gohan to fight in the Cell games. Alright, I can see that, but then giving Cell a sensu beam? Why? That's stupid. That was really stupid. And after that, I couldn't even take that fight seriously anymore. It didn't even feel like they were fighting to save the world. They were just fighting for themselves, really. And Cell wasn't even intended into destroying the world until Gohan bested him in the fight. And really, he was just acting like a sore loser if you really think about it, which made that, I thought was hilarious. So when he tried to destroy the planet and Goku sacrificed himself, I felt it, but not as much as I would have felt. I would have felt it if it was like a different circumstance. Although I did like the part where Gohan was, without Goku's being shown in the background shooting the Kamehameha with Gohan against Cell. That was pretty cool. A touching moment in Dragon Ball Z, so I actually did like that. Now, I think I explained those two sagas. Now, another issue I have is the Buu saga. This is probably the least liked saga, and I can see why, because it is the weakest saga. But I do have problems with it too. Before I get into that, I will say I did like the Buu saga. I don't hate it, and I'm not as harsh on it as a lot of people are. But what I find interesting is that some of the things I did like about the Buu saga is some of the reasons why I don't like some of it. I guess you could consider it a love-hate relationship. Now, the Buu saga in general just was not needed. It was, we really look into it, it's a pointless saga. It did nothing for the plot or the characters. As a matter of fact, it destroyed a lot of the characters if you really think about it. So I can see why a lot of people don't like the Buu saga. It really was the weakest saga, not the most, it was not very well written at all. But I kind of just try to take it for what it is. It's a fun saga, but not a good saga to end the series with at all. Now, problems I had with it. One, the time skip. I thought the time skip was it was a bit much. A 7-year time skip, seriously. Personally, if they needed the saga after the Cell saga, it should have took place, I would say, a year or two after the Cell games, not 7 years after. That was a bit over the top. That was not necessary. The second problem I had was Gohan going to high school. That was just stupid. I did not like that. And even now, when I try to watch that part of the show, it's almost unwatchable. It's unbearable. It's unbearable. I can watch it, but it's just hard. And the same man thing was stupid too. I really, did Gohan really need to be a superhero? Team Gohan in general, I just don't like. I felt like it destroyed everything about his character. Because essentially, Team Gohan is it's a watered down version of Goku. That's what Team Gohan is. And I also didn't like the fact that he became weaker than everybody. And then there's, the Super Saiyan 3, which I thought, looking at it now, it just seems stupid. I don't like the design, the hair going back, it looks stupid. Am I the only one that thinks that it makes Goku look elderly when he becomes Super Saiyan 3? If you look at his face, he kind of looks older. He looks elderly, in my opinion. And it's just over the top. I just felt like I felt it was a pointless power-up that was kind of just thrown in there for the sake of having it in there, or kind of out of plot convenience, because they're fighting a stronger enemy, and I guess by that logic you would need powers, you would need another level up, but it really was not needed. I think Super Saiyan 2 should have been the final form, and it always should have been for Gohan, not for everyone else. And Goten and Kid Trunks. I don't really care much for Goten. I like Goten. Kid Trunks, he's okay. He's not as good as Future Trunks. Future Trunks is better. But them becoming Super Saiyans was absolutely ridiculous. They shouldn't have become Super Saiyans. Really, it made no sense for them to become Super Saiyans. I don't care. Like, there's the excuse that, they had the most potential to become Super Saiyans because Goku and Vegeta, they were Super Saiyans when they were conceived, so they have that potential. But it's still stupid. It's really not necessary for like a bunch of 7 to 8 year olds to be Super Saiyans, and for no reason. I don't care. It was dumb. And then them become a Super Saiyan 3 through fusion? No. And fusion in general I don't like either. Well, not that much. I'm more or less with that. It's kind of funny. I'm more like the Goku, like the Gogeta character, somewhat. But the fusion was not needed either. It was. What else do I need to touch on with this saga? I guess the plot holes. There's a lot of plot holes. The first plot hole I'm going to tackle is the hyperbolic time chamber plot hole. In the Cell saga, they said that only 2 people could be in the hyperbolic time chamber at once. That's point number 1. Point 2, I think only people. The second thing that you need to know as far as the hyperbolic time chamber is concerned is that you can only be in there for 2 days. If you're in there more than that, you're stuck in there forever. If you blow the door, if the door is destroyed, and you're stuck in there, then you'll never be able to escape. So, they broke almost all these rules of the Buu Saga. There are 4 people in there, and yeah, there are 4 people in there, and they blow up the door. So how did they get out? Simple. Kid Buu, he ripped a time hole, a wormhole, and escaped. When I first saw this, I laughed my butt off. I was like, what? This is what I saw when the show reached a pinnacle of complete and utter stupidity. I was like, wow, really? It was ridiculous. Gotenks and Piccolo, they escaped doing the same thing. It was just... And then you have Buu. Buu, I like Buu's character, but I really don't I don't think he should have been the main villain again. I think Babidi should have been the main villain. Buu, I couldn't even see as a villain. I couldn't even take him seriously.